Now, this is the last of the three kinds of clauses that we have already discussed. The first two, that is the noun clause and the adjective clause. Now, we will start with adverb clause. There are 9 different conditions, alright, in which we take use of adverb clause. Before I start with the adverb clause, I must say you about the definition of our adverb. What is an adverb? Adverb is a part of speech that modifies or that adds to the meaning of a verb, an adjective or another adverb. We will start with adverb clause of time. I have already said you that there are 9 different conditions in which we take use of adverb clause. Alright, and here in this sentence means in this first sentence, when he came, I was not present there. Here when he came is actually a part of a sentence and it is also making a complete sense, so it is a clause. It is a subordinating clause and it is modifying the time of this verb. Now if you ask question with when to this finite verb, when were you not present there? If you ask question to the principal clause with when, you will get the answer as the subordinate clause. Subordinating clause, and the subordinating clause in this sense will obviously describe time. Now in the next sentence, in sentence number 2, you will find the same function. Before we arrived, he had departed. So here before we arrived, this is actually the dependent clause and it is modifying had departed, the verb of the principal clause. And if you ask question with when had he departed, you will get the answer before we arrived. That means it is describing time. In both the sentences, we have asked question to the principal clause with when, and we have got the answer as a clause, as because it is modifying time, so we call them as adverb clause of time. Now these are some of the subordinating conjunctions which are usually which we take use of while joining this adverb clause of time. The subordinating conjunctions which are most common, they are when, whenever, before, after, till, until, while, etc. Alright, let us just revise it once more. What is an adverb? An adverb is a part of speech which modifies a verb, an adjective or another adverb. Here we are discussing about adverb clause of time. As we know what is a clause is a part of a sentence that makes a complete sense. So here in the first sentence, when he came, it is actually a part of a sentence which is modifying the principal clause and it is modifying the time of the principal clause. If you ask question with when to the principal clause, you will get the answer. So this subordinating clause is actually an adverb clause and it is because it is modifying time, so we will say it is an adverb clause of time. Similarly, in this sentence also, this principal clause is also being modified. Means if you ask question with when to this principal clause, for example, when had he departed, you will get the answer before we arrive. It is also modifying time. So in both the case, we can call that both of them are actually adverb clause of time, right? Adverb clause. This is adverb clause of place. Now, adverb clause of place. You know, adverb generally modifies place as well. Adverb of place. He goes there. If you ask where does he go, the answer will be there. So adverb can modify place. Here the similar adverb will modify place, and it will be actually not a word but a clause. And I have already told you repeatedly what is the definition of clause. Just repeat me. A clause is a part of a sentence that makes a complete sense. So here, where you are, this is stay where you are. In this sentence, where you are is a part of a sentence and it is also making a complete sense. Now if you ask question, this is here in this sentence, stay is actually the principal clause. If you ask question with where do you stay, you will get the answer where you are. So where you are is the part of a sentence that is making a complete sense, and it is also modifying place. So we can consider it as an adverb clause. In the second sentence, wherever I went, she promised to go. In this sentence, this is the dependent clause, and she promised to go is actually the principal clause. If I ask question to this principal clause with where did she promise to go, you will get the answer wherever I went. So wherever I went is the dependent clause, and it is also modifying place, so we can consider it as an adverb clause of place. So in both the sentences you have seen that the dependent clause is actually modifying place. So we consider them as adverb clauses, means of place. And now let us see what subordinating conjunctions are needed to join the adverb clause. Alright, to join the principal clause with the dependent clause in order to construct adverb clauses. The subordinating conjunctions are where, wherever, as far as near as, anywhere, etc. So these are the subordinating clauses. You must remember, it will help you in joining the principal clause with the dependent clause in case of adverb clause of place. This is the third function of adverb clause. It is adverb clause of reason. Alright, so in case of adverb clause of reason, we have to ask question to the principal clause with why. If you can ask question to the principal clause with why, you will get the answer as the adverb clause of reason or the dependent clause. In this first sentence, what is the first sentence? Let us read out. As I was ill, I was absent. Right? If you ask question, why were you absent? If you ask question with why, for example, why were you absent? You will get the answer as I was ill. So as I was ill is actually the dependent clause which is describing the reason. Similarly, in the second sentence, since you have denied the offer, you will be given no further chance. Now ask question to the principal clause with why. Why will you be given no further chance? If you ask question to the principal clause with why, you will get the answer since you have denied the offer. So since you have denied the offer is actually describing the reason of the principal clause. So quite obviously tell that this dependent clause is actually an adverb clause of reason. Right? Now see, in case of joining the principal clause with the dependent clause, in case of adverb clause of reason, we have to take help of some subordinating conjunctions. For example, what are those subordinating conjunctions? They are as, because, since, for, etc. Right? So remember boys that if you ask question with why to the principal clause, you will get the answer as the dependent clause, which will obviously be the adverb clause of reason, right? So I think now you have got what is adverb clause of reason. This is the third condition. Now we will start with the fourth condition, right? We will start with the fourth condition of adverb clause. It is adverb clause of contrast. Contrast means opposite condition, right? Here in this first sentence, let us see what is written over here. Though he is poor, he is honest. Now, what is the contrasting condition? Generally, poor people, out of their poverty-stricken condition, they sometimes take some dishonest path. But here the subject is quite contrasting in his nature. So, how will you get with what will you ask question to get this subordinate clause as your answer? If you ask question with in which contrasting condition is he honest, then you will get the answer though he is poor. Now, though he is poor is a part of a sentence and it is making a complete sense. And it is also describing the contrasting condition of the subject. Alright? So we can easily, so in this case we will consider it as an adverb clause of contrast. Similarly, in the second sentence, even if you fail, you should not give up. In this sentence, if you ask question with in what contrast should you not give up? In what contrast should you not give up? So in what contrasting condition? Better if you ask question in this way, it will be better. In what contrasting condition should you not give up? You will get the answer as even if you fail. So even if you fail is a part of the sentence and it is also making a complete sense. Alright, and it is also describing contrasting condition of the principal clause. So we will obviously take it or consider it as an adverb clause of contrast. So in both the sentences we have already seen that the contrasting condition of the subject in the principal clause can be described by adverb clause of contrast, right? And in case of joining the principal clause with the dependent clause, in case of adverb clause of contrast, we must take help of the subordinating conjunctions like though, although, even if, even though, etc. So this is what adverb clause of contrast, and it is the fourth condition of adverb clause, right? Now let us come to the fifth function of adverb clause. It is adverb clause of condition. In adverb clause of condition, let us take the first sentence. If you work hard, you will succeed. So if you ask question to the principal clause, in what condition will you succeed? You will get the answer if you work hard. So your hard working is the condition which will fulfill your purpose, you will succeed, right? So, and how are you getting this? Now if you ask question to the principal clause with what condition, you will get this answer. Similarly in the second sentence, unless you walk fast, you will miss the train. You will miss the train. Now if you ask question to this principal clause, in what condition will you miss the train? You will get the answer unless you walk fast. So in both of these sentences, the dependent clauses are actually describing the condition of the principal clause, right? As because the condition of the principal clauses are here described by these subordinated clauses, so we consider them as adverb clause of condition. The adverb clauses of condition can be joined by the subordinated conjunctions like if, unless, provided, whether, etc. So these are some of the subordinating conjunction which you must take help of while joining the principal clause and the subordinating clause with adverb clause of, in case of adverb clause of condition, right?